Thank you, and to all of you, thank you so much for your service, and General Hokanson. A special mahalo to you from our Hawaii Army and Air Guard. You've always been an incredible partner of our Hawaii Guard, and we're really proud of them and grateful for them, not only for the deployments overseas, but for some really key emergencies in Hawaii proper, not to include COVID, Red Hill, most recently the Maui wildfires, and you've been fully supportive of all of that. So thank you very much from us. I feel like I have to channel our absent friend, Mr. Womack, in joining in support of the State Partnership Program because he's your biggest fan, and you've already heard mention of that. I just want to add to that. I was with 5 of our House colleagues last week in the South Pacific in Fiji and Tonga, and they have state partnership programs with Nevada. And it is truly amazing what an impact that partnership program has in terms of the overall relationship with those key countries. We met with the senior leadership of those countries. They are well aware of the partnership program. They value it, and it means a lot to them. So, this is something that I don't think we can overinvest in. I just want to follow up on my colleagues' questions on the Space Force, because frankly, this is kind of a puzzle to me. I'm going to put this in layman's terms, or at least my terms, whether it's layman or not. We have a Space Force. We're trying to turn the Space Force into a full partner in the armed services. To do that, the Space Force, it seems to me, needs some form of a Guard/Reserve construct. The Space Force has come up with their own construct that they believe works for them, which is a Space Force component, which is really a full-time, part-time component. Somehow that has to be staffed. That has to be fully staffed out for it to really be an effective component. The most direct place to get that from is the Air Guard and I suppose Reserve to some extent. That is being resisted for various reasons, which I can appreciate. The response to that was the Secretary of the Air Force legislative proposal, which engendered a strong response from you all, and also from our governors over precedent, and also the fear expressed and implied that if this was forced upon space-related Guard and Reserve units out there, that they would leave the service rather than go to the Space Force. I frankly don't know whether that's true or not, but it's certainly an expressed term. So it seems to me that we obviously haven't found the right answer yet. But one question that I think it does beg is that if the Secretary of the Air Force's proposal to essentially require the transfer is not adopted, how does the Space Force effectively staff out its proposed component? And will that really do particular damage to, for example, the Air National Guard? I mean, these are space missions. In a time of mobilization, they would probably be mobilized to the Space Force, so why shouldn't they get into that channel right now? So these are just, I'm just trying to sort this through in my mind. I don't think any of us has come up with a particularly good answer. I signed the letter that supported our governors because I value their and our Adjutant General, because I value their input on a fear of demobilizing their own existing Air Guard, and because I'm also concerned about the precedent. But I don't think anybody's answered the basic question.
Congressman Case, I thank you for the opportunity to address this. And as I've been very clear in all of my testimony since I became the chief, I feel the best option is just basically no cost to our nation. Our Air Guardsmen are currently serving space missions. If they want to be in the Space Force, we could just change their name tape. They would still be in the National Guard. They would still have their same civilian jobs, same location, same mission. All we do is change the science in their name tape. The concerns that we have, and our Guardsmen have expressed this, and this is coming directly from the Space Force, is they don't even have in place the admin processes for a part-time force to manage them. Retirements, pay, benefits, any of that doesn't exist. So they're going to have to create that bureaucracy. We already have it, and we've had it, and it runs our Air Guard, and we've effectively continued to perform our mission to include 11 overseas deployments since the Space Force was established. And they continue to do that as guardsmen in the Air National Guard. And when you look forward, we've asked them very closely because we are concerned. Space capabilities are very critical to our nation right now. And when you look at the National Guard, we're actually units with equipment that perform missions. And we're not usually fillers or anything like that. And so when you look at the role that the Space Force is looking for their part-time force, they don't see them in operational units anymore. They see them in admin, educational, and institutional or test units or in staff positions. And that's really not what we do right now. And at the end of the day, whatever decision is made, it's my responsibility to make sure we continue to provide the absolute best space capability we can right now, and we do that. We've got another deployment scheduled very shortly. Our folks continue to do their mission, but many of them, and up to 70%, said, look, I'm going to stay in the National Guard. And my promise to them is I will find a position for them in the National Guard if they do not want to go into the Space Force, if they're forced to do so.
Okay, so if we solved for the basic lack of comparable, benefit packages that you say that they're concerned about, how much of the problem does that solve? Do you think in that case that if they were given a voluntary choice about whether to stay in the current Guard or transfer over to the Space Force side of things, would they take that? Because somehow we have to do this, and that's the basic challenge here. If it doesn't happen on a smooth voluntary basis, then somehow we have to make it happen.
If we can get that answer back